Welcome to Flagler in Focus, the podcast where we dive deep into all things Flagler County. I'm your host, Karen Callahan, and with each podcast, we'll explore the people, places, and events of our community, from interviews with local experts, community leaders, and fabulous folks with stories to tell. We're your go-to source for staying connected to what's happening in Flagler County. And today, we are super excited to have our special guest, Flagler's Assistant County Administrator and Library Director, Holly Albanese. Good morning, Holly.
Good morning, Karen. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
We're so excited to learn more about a special project that's happening right now. But first, why don't we introduce you to the listeners?
Yes, so I started here in 2006 as the library director, and I have been doing that ever since. I am super passionate about libraries and everything that they bring and the community resource that they are. But eventually I was asked to step up and do more work for the county. I am also the legislative liaison, so every legislative session I prepare their presentations to the legislators, and hopefully we receive money annually. And also recently I've been retitled to a assistant county administrator, along with still being and remaining the library director. And I love what I do. I help the administration in any projects, grant writing, and anything they just need me to fill in.
Well, anybody who knows you knows you're very passionate about the library and about the county. So we are here to talk about our new endeavor, the Nexus Center. So would you like to give a little bit of background on that?
Sure. I've been working on that project for quite a long time, actually 9 years. I'm very excited that it is finally coming to fruition, but it has been a long, arduous journey trying to find the funding. And we started back in 2014 working on what this was going to look like, where we wanted it located, and we applied for grants. We went through 7 iterations of state library construction grant applications, which we were ranked number 1 in the state every single year. Unfortunately, it's based on whether the legislature appropriates funding for that program, and many years they did not. There was 1 year where they did, but unfortunately we had to withdraw due to funding challenges. And then 1 year the governor vetoed the funding. So we were excited that last year, finally, the legislature appropriated funding. The governor did not veto it, and so we are receiving that particular construction grant. But there's been a lot of challenges along the way, and it's been kind of difficult to get to this point, but we're very excited we're finally there. And the Nexus Center kind of changed. Originally, it was just going to be a library.
I was going to say, because it's more than a library.
It definitely is. So originally it was just going to be a 20,000 square foot library, but in the process we decided that there were more needs for infrastructure at the county than just the library, and it would be a good combination of both the Health and Human Services Department along with the library. Health and Human Services are all your social service functions, so that includes human services, senior services, your housing. So all of that is going to be at the same location. They will have their separate entrance and offices, but they will be, the building itself will be what we consider a multi-purpose joint use facility. And internally, besides the library, there will be what I call a huge community room or conference center. It will seat up to 325 people when it's open, but it is subdividable along with a catering kitchen. And when it's subdividable during the week, one side of that will be used for the congregate meal site for senior services.
Amazing. So that brings me to my next point. Why is it called the Nexus Center?
So yeah, that's a story in and of itself. We had to come up with a name. The architect was like, we really need a name for this building. And because it was multi-purpose, it couldn't just be called Flagler County Public Library. So we had to come up with something. So one day, the county administrator, Heidi Petito, and myself sat down, and we were using an AI tool online, and we were just putting in all these terms. And we actually came up with Nexus. In the end, after we put in all these terms, that's what it kind of spit out to us. And overall, what the Nexus Center conveys is the idea of a dynamic, multifaceted facility that serves as a hub for learning, innovation, and community engagement. And that's why we chose the Nexus Center. Now, the library itself will still have a separate phone, and when people call the library, what they will get is Flagler County Public Library at the Nexus Center.
Oh, excellent. So what's going to set this library apart from our current library?
Well, there's a couple of things. Besides the fact that we're going to have that huge community room and multi-purpose, we also will have what's called a micro market. So it's a small area where you can, there will be vending machines so you can get a drink, maybe maybe a pastry or something to that effect. There will be some prepared foods. And so in the past, you've never been able to eat in a library or have a drink at a library.
Yeah.
But this one will be a little different because the actual, what we call pre-function lobby is before you actually enter the library itself.
It sounds like a cozy coffee shop feel.
And that's exactly what we want to convey. So there will be some tables inside and outside of that pre-function lobby area where people can just sit and enjoy, read a book, and have a little bite to eat.
I am absolutely looking forward to that. I cannot wait till the fall weather comes in and I can just cozy up on my lunch break and read a book and drink some coffee. So I'm super excited about that. I hope other people are also.
I think everybody will.
Yeah.
And because there are so many staff on campus, it kind of will be a people will congregate there. And it's a good way to network as well, if you're meeting up with your peers there.
Absolutely.
Just to have a little quick bite to eat. But besides that, inside the library, there will be two areas that are new to a library. One is an innovation lab, which will be set up where we can do various innovative, it's technology related for the most part. So there might be some coding clubs being held there.
Fun.
Yes. So we're very excited about that. We'll be bringing in, obviously, laptops and different electronic devices. There could be maybe a 3D printer in that room as well. So
really?
Yes. So we're looking at that.
That's going to make our producer very happy, Carlos Hernandez.
Yes. So we are looking forward to that. And then the second area that's going to be very different is a podcasting room. So excited about that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
we're in a podcasting room right now.
But you could potentially use that room in the library to be able to do podcasts. And what we foresee is maybe local professionals who don't have their own equipment might want to utilize the podcast room to do their own podcast, as well as maybe for the students in the Flagler County area, they may want to use the podcast room. It's not just going to be for audio, it's also going to be for video as well. So we might have a green screen where they can do different things in that room. So it will be audio and video recording. So
that sounds like fun.
Yeah, very excited about that.
And it's the Nexus Center is not just about what's happening on the inside with all these rooms and cozy areas. I hear there's an extra innovative thing on the outside.
So yes, first library in the area that will have a drive-through window.
I'm so excited about that.
Yes, and we wanted to make it convenient for our patrons. Currently the library in Palm Coast and the one we have in Bunnell do not have a way for people to drive up and drop off their materials. This is going to go one step further. It's not only going to give them the ability to drive through and drop off their materials, but they then can pick up their materials that are being held for them at the same time at that drive-through window during hours of operation.
Absolutely.
Now, the great thing about that is think about moms with little kids in the car.
I was just thinking that when my children were a lot younger, it's kind of hard when running errands, you want to go ahead and pick up those books in advance. It's so much easier.
Exactly. Even currently, the Palm Coast Library has a locker system outside where people can pick up their materials 24/7. The problem is you have to actually physically get out of your vehicle and walk up to it. With this, you don't have to. Of course, it has to be during hours of operation because you have to physically have a staff member there to be able to help you. We will still have another set of lockers at the new facility so that allows 24/7, whether we're open or closed. But having that drive-through gives them that one more option, especially, like I said, with moms, with kids. And if it's raining, you're having inclement weather, you don't want to get out of your car, you're just picking up a book.
It's too hot.
Right now it is. So you may not want to get out of your vehicle. And that just gives another level of convenience to our residents. And that's what we're trying to do, to, utilize the taxpayer dollars in the best way possible.
I love it. So speaking of taxpayer dollars, can you explain the funding, how we received funding for this marvelous new center?
Well, I already hinted to the fact that we get that state library construction, which was $500,000. That really helped. But what I will tell you is the passport program, I don't know how many people know, but the library is a passport application acceptance facility and has been since 2008. That means we process your passport applications, send them into the U.S. Department of State. And as a result, we receive a fee for that. It's called a facility fee. Now, that is not determined by us. That is determined by the U.S. Department of State.
Okay.
So every facility that you go to has to charge the same amount. So right now it's $35 per application. Plus, because we're a wraparound service, we also offer photos. And right now we're only charging $10 for those photos, which is great. We're the best service in town in that respect because other places charge a lot more than the $10. But essentially that $45 per application has really added up. To date, the library has brought in over $1.4 million. And as a matter of fact, we have dedicated $1.1 million towards this project, $300,000 of which has already been spent on purchase of the land.
That's amazing. Oh, and speaking of land, we haven't told folks where we're going to sit this center.
Yeah, so it's on Commerce Parkway. They're right now working on Commerce to punch it through from 100 all the way to US 1. But we're literally going to be across the street from the current Sheriff's Operations Center.
Excellent.
And not far from the EOC, not far from the new Bunnell City Hall. We are basically on campus in the hub of everything.
And that is very convenient for anybody that's on campus. For one thing, they can always stop by the Nexus Center then.
Absolutely. Well, besides that, we also have about $750,000 in impact fees. And we recently, last June, I found out about this grant opportunity through the Department of Commerce Office of Broadband through the state of Florida called the MPCF, which is Multi-Purpose Community Facilities Grant. And I took the opportunity and I applied for it. In October, I submitted the grant and we found out in January that we were awarded. It is a $4 million grant, which is really going to help with this. And then also there was some Florida Department of Emergency Management disaster recovery funds available, about $800,000. That money is going to be used to assist with what we call Code Plus design and construction. That's going to be added into this facility as well. Now, Code Plus, just for the public's understanding, Code Plus means that it's going to be constructed and designed to 150 mile per hour winds. Now, it will not be a shelter for the public, but we're doing it so that prior to and after the disaster, it can be utilized and be available to the public. It might be a place where FEMA, if needed, can set up shop in the library, in the community room to meet with the public as well. But during the disaster, it is possible because we have that big, huge community room along with the catering kitchen. It could be a place for first responders and other staff that have to report and be there during the disaster.
And so convenient because it's close to the EOC as well.
Correct.
With that $4 million grant, what does that entail? What services do we offer as a result of that?
Well, because it's through the Office of Broadband, the reason why they have that money, it trickled down through the federal government, and it's specifically to help with internet access. And so obviously the libraries offer that anyway. So that was a no-brainer for us. We offer that service. But there was more to this grant. They wanted to know that there was some tie-in to jobs and health. So having the Health and Human Services Department connected really helped our situation.
Oh, okay.
But also we're bringing in what we call privacy pods. And those privacy pods will be available for job interviews, for telehealth appointments, and just personal study if necessary. But we'll have those on site internally to the library as well. But some of the programs that we are looking to offer, because one of the requirements of this grant was also that we partner with CareerSource. And we already had a partnership, the county as a whole. And so we foresee some possible classes like a lecture series, resume skills class, maybe interviewing skills class, some assessments maybe on job skills. And then they may do a job fair as well. So these are some of the things that we may be offering in the future as a result of this grant.
So what are we seeing right now as far as construction is concerned? How quickly is this building going to go up?
Well, you'll see the walls go up very quickly because it's called tilt wall construction.
Okay.
So these are sort of constructed off-site and then brought, and it'll go up. So the actual shell might be seen very quickly, and but then internally there's a lot of things that go into it. But we expect that the project will be substantially completed by October of 25.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's going to happen really quick. That's around the corner.
It is. And unfortunately, our state library construction grant has that requirement that it has to have substantial completion by October 1st of 2025. So we really need to have that done. It might not open for a couple months beyond that because then we still have to, do a punch list and bring in furnishings. So it might take a couple more months beyond that.
Okay. And so what additional program services will we expect to see in the center?
Well, we'll have a lot of the same programs and services that the current facility in Palm Coast offers. The current Bunnell branch, where it's located, it's very small. They do not offer programs there. Their services are limited based on size. Their current full collection is not even in the branch.
I did not know that.
Yeah, a big part of their collection is in the Palm Coast facility because when we moved the Bunnell branch, it used to be located on the corner of US 1 and 100. And that was a 3,000 square foot building. But when we brought in the Flagler Access Center, which is a mental health facility, we had to move. But they knew that we were going to be building this facility. So we moved to a location in Marvin's Gardens. And we have just a very small retail unit. It's only 1,152 square feet. And so you're basically taking everything that you had 3,000 square feet in and reducing it down to 1,152 square feet. We needed a shoehorn to do that. It was so difficult. So that's why half the collection is in the Palm Coast facility. And we reduced down, we had 8 computers, and we had to reduce down to 3. So we're excited to be able to have the square footage that we're going to have. The library portion of the Nexus Center will have about 12,000 square feet. The overall building total, including HHS and the community portion with the pre-function lobby, will be 23,000 square feet. So the library portion being that much larger, even than the original facility we were in, will allow us to do so much more. And the community room will allow us to bring all those same programs that people are enjoying in Palm Coast to this facility. And just to name a few, you have Pause to Read, Chess Club, Anime Club. These are the youth programs. Baby time, story time, tween club, holiday programs, game days, STEAM programs, sensory story times, trivia. And some of the adult programs, we have musical programs, cooking series, history lecture series. We'll have the Constitution program. We have senior citizen programs, Flagler Reads Together. Again, holiday programs, yoga, trivia. Then there's going to be various technology programs like learning how to use a computer, learning how to use your various devices, including your cell phones, things like that.
You spoke about holiday programs. Is your elf on the shelf going to appear in 2025?
We had Mary.
For people who don't know, Holly has a very clever friend named Mary, who's our elf on the shelf, and she's quite mischievous.
Yeah.
So.
She didn't appear this past year, but the year before that, she was in the Palm Coast Library, and she appeared there every day doing various activities. And yes, she was
She got into some trouble, but she looked like she had a lot of fun.
She did. She had friends visiting her, and even the Grinch visited her. And so, and in the end, she ziplined out.
She ziplined out of there.
That was very exciting. I'd love to bring her in, even if it's the first holiday season. That would be great.
The kids love her.
They do. And we also hope to have our Festival of Trees.
That was my next.
Yeah, so we have that at the main library in Palm Coast every year, the Festival of Trees, but we'd like to bring it to the Nexus Center as well. So we're hoping to spread the holiday cheer and season through both facilities.
Excellent. Yes. Well, Halloween's right around the corner. Is there something that our current library is planned for the holidays?
We always have annually what we call Halloween hoopla.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's a hoopla.
It certainly is. And we have a lot of candy and games and prizes. And then we have various community organizations that come out. And then we'll roll right into, obviously, Thanksgiving and the holiday season with Christmas. And that's when we'll be doing the Festival of Trees this year again.
Explain to people what the Festival of Trees is, because I love it.
Oh, yeah. So Festival of Trees every year, we ask the local organizations, nonprofit, and clubs, they come into the library and they will set up a tree, and their tree will be decorated according to their theme, will be decorated according to whatever their club or organization is. And just to say, like the Master Gardeners, which is part of the Extension office, they'll come in and they'll decorate their tree with various natural elements. So that's just to give you an example of what they do. Last year we had, I think it was more than 45 trees in the library, and we had quite a few wreaths because at one point we decided to extend the program to people who maybe didn't want to put that much time and effort into decorating a tree, but they wanted to do a wreath just to get information about their organization out. So we did extend it. We get about maybe a half dozen to a dozen wreaths every year. And so these are all over the library.
It's a beautiful display.
It starts, believe it or not, right before Thanksgiving. They get 1 week where they set up their trees. And then from then, it will be right after Thanksgiving where we'll have one night kind of a celebration saying, welcome to the holiday season at the library. And it will be in the evening after the library closes, and we'll have somebody there, a musical performance. I'm not certain who it is this year, but we'll have that this year. And then every day, library staff comes in every single morning, like little gremlins, and they
little elves.
Yes, and they turn on the trees. So when people walk in, they can enjoy all the trees lit up. And then at night, after everybody's gone, they do the same thing. They shut them down before they leave. So they do that. I should mention one of the other programs we have, because Veterans Day is a really, really important day to celebrate our veterans in the community. And the library every year for the last, 4 or 5 years, we have been holding a very solemn ceremony called the White Table Ceremony. We partner with Embry-Riddle Honor Guard, and they come out and they present this ceremony. It's literally 10 minutes, but it is so powerful that everybody needs to see it. And I'm excited that we'll be able to bring that to the Nexus Center as well. So
it's so exciting. And it's important for folks to realize, yes, we're really excited and we cannot wait for that Nexus Center, but Holly and her team are doing wonderful things at our library now. So if you haven't visited our library, please go, because there's always something going on. And it's definitely a labor of love for her and her team. And it's wonderful. So we do have a library now to go to. You don't have to wait for October 2025.
No, definitely not. And there's so many other resources.
Absolutely.
We don't have time to go into everything, but there's so many resources. It's not just about books today. There's all sorts of ebooks and online learning databases. They really need to check it out. And, we have more than half the population that are registered. Mm-hmm. We circulate more than almost 500,000 items.
That's amazing.
A year.
Yeah.
Our foot traffic is over 200,000. We're the biggest early voting location in the community.
And that's so important.
Absolutely. So we're excited. Please come check us out. And when the Nexus Center opens, I hope you will all be there, not just for the grand opening, but for the future, because this is going to be an excellent community resource for everyone.
Well, Holly, it's always a pleasure talking to you. You're one of my favorite people. Holly and I, fun fact, share a common favorite movie. She has a favorite quote from it, which in essence wraps up her attitude in a nutshell, and I love it. So, Holly.
So it's a quote that I have on my personal Facebook page. It's from the movie The Mummy. I may not be an explorer, an adventurer, or gunfighter, but I am proud of what I am. I am a librarian.
Yeah. I love that character and I love you. So it's perfect. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you stopping by this studio to speak with us about the Nexus Center and the library services. So thank you so much, Holly.
Thank you. It's been great being here.
Remember, for all things Flagler, we're keeping it in focus here at Flagler in Focus. For more podcasts, visit us at flaglercounty.gov/podcast.